Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump held a rally in Mosinee, Wisconsin on Saturday as he tries to solidify support among a key part of his base, working class and rural whites.
A very special hello to Wisconsin. We really appreciate it. We've had great success here.
Trump won Wisconsin, a key swing state, against Hillary Clinton in 2016, but lost it to President Joe Biden in 2020. But he carried Marathon County, where Mosinee is located, convincingly in both elections. Whites without a college degree, long the linchpin of Trump's coalition, still favor the former president by 25 points, according to the latest Reuters Ipsos poll. Maintaining Trump's margins within that demographic is crucial, his advisors say, in order for him to win in November against his Democratic rival, Vice President Kamala Harris, who is leading Trump among Hispanic and Black voters. Harris, meanwhile, was in Pittsburgh on Saturday, where she welcomed recent endorsements not only from former Republican Representative Liz Cheney, but also from her father, Dick Cheney, who was vice president under Republican President George W. Bush.
I think that what they both, as leaders who are well respected, are making an important statement that it's okay, and if not important, to put country above party. And I'm honored to have their support.
Harris and Trump will debate each other for the first time in Pittsburgh, with Pennsylvania another key battleground state.
Are you ready to face Donald Trump?
Yes, I am.
Video from Israel's ambulance service showed emergency vehicles at the Allenby Bridge border in the occupied West Bank on Sunday after what the Israeli military said was a deadly shooting by a gunman who approached from Jordan. The military said 3 Israeli civilians were killed after the attacker got out of a truck in the bridge area and shot at security forces there. They added that Israeli forces eliminated the gunman. The Israeli manager of the crossing said 3 workers were shot dead at close range. It's the first such attack along the border with Jordan since Palestinian Islamist group Hamas launched an assault on southern Israel on October the 7th, sparking the latest war in Gaza that has ratcheted up tensions across the region. It took place in a commercial cargo area under Israeli control, where Jordanian trucks offload cargo entering the West Bank, officials said. At a cabinet meeting, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu strongly condemned the shooting.
This is a difficult day. A loathsome terrorist murdered in cold blood 3 of our civilians at Allenby Bridge.
Jordanian officials said the crossing was closed and that they had begun an investigation into the shooting. The assailant was a 39-year-old truck driver who came from an influential tribe in southern Jordan, according to family members. Israel and Jordan signed a peace treaty in 1994 and have close security ties. Dozens of trailers cross daily from Jordan with goods from Jordan and the Gulf that supply both the West Bank and Israeli markets.
China says it will no longer send children overseas for adoption, overturning a more than 3-decade rule that was rooted in its once strict one-child policy. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning said on Thursday the change was meant to be, quote, in line with international trends. She added that foreign relatives of Chinese children or stepchildren could still adopt in some situations. It was not immediately clear what would happen to the families who are already in the adoption process. China implemented a rigorous one-child policy from 1979 to 2015 to help bring down its population and opened the doors to international adoption in 1992. Families around the world have adopted more than 160,000 Chinese children. Around 82,000 of them, mostly girls, were adopted in the U.S., according to China's Children International. When Chinese families could only have one child, many opted to keep male children, who were traditionally expected to be their family's main caregivers. China now has one of the lowest birth rates globally and has been trying to incentivize young women to have kids. The move comes after the Netherlands in May banned its citizens from adopting children from foreign countries. And in Denmark, people will no longer be able to adopt children from abroad after the only adoption agency said it was stopping operations.
Extreme weather stirred up Chinese consumer prices in August. Inflation accelerated to the fastest pace in half a year last month. But the uptick was due more to higher food costs from weather disruptions than a recovery in domestic demand, meaning deflation remains the bigger worry. Official data Monday showed the consumer price index rose 0.6% from a year earlier last month, against a 0.5% rise in July, though it was below analyst forecasts. Extreme weather this summer, from typhoons to deadly floods and scorching heat, has pushed up farm produce prices, and that contributed to faster inflation. State media said crops affected by various natural disasters totaled 1.46 million hectares in August. Food prices jumped 2.8% on the year that month, from an unchanged outcome in July, while producer prices fell at their fastest pace in 4 months. A tough start in the second half has put pressure on Beijing to roll out more support measures. The economy faces a prolonged housing downturn, persistent joblessness, debt woes and rising trade tensions. In unusually strong comments last week, former Chinese Central Bank Governor Yi Gang called for more efforts to fight deflationary pressure. Global brokerages have also scaled back this year's growth forecasts for China to below the official target of around 5%.
Venezuelan opposition presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez fled to Spain on Sunday as he seeks asylum from Nicolas Maduro's government amid the ongoing crisis over July's disputed election. Gonzalez, who has challenged Maduro's declaration of victory, arrived at the Torrejón de Ardoz military base with his wife, Spain's foreign ministry said in a statement. The exit of the 75-year-old, seen by the U.S., EU, and other major powers as the winner of the election, came a week after Venezuelan authorities issued an arrest warrant for him, accusing him of conspiracy and other crimes. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell in a statement said it was, quote, a sad day for democracy in Venezuela, adding that no political leader should be forced to seek asylum in another country. Venezuela's opposition say the July 28th election resulted in a resounding victory for Gonzalez and published vote tallies online that they say show he won. Maduro has dismissed all such assertions and says there was a right-wing plot to sabotage his government. Gonzalez's move to Spain marked another jolting shift in the fortunes of the former diplomat who came out of retirement and took over the candidacy in March, initially as a placeholder after opposition leader Maria Corina Machado and then another replacement could not stand. Machado confirmed on X that Gonzalez was now in Spain, adding he had fled to protect, quote, his freedom, his integrity, and his life. She said he would continue to fight for the opposition from Spain and vowed that on January 10th of 2025, Gonzalez would be sworn in as Venezuela's president.
Sudanese are suffering through a perfect storm of crisis. Over 500 days of conflict, the largest level of displacement in the world, famine in some parts and risk of this in others. 25.6 million people, over half of Sudan's population, are expected to face high levels of acute food insecurity. Additional resources are required to meet their needs. And we're calling on the world to wake up and help Sudan out of the nightmare it's living through. The scale of the emergency is shocking, and as is the insufficient action being taken to curtail the conflict and respond to the suffering it's
Asia's
causing.
most powerful storm this year made landfall in northern Vietnam on Saturday. Super Typhoon Yagi brought with it wind speeds of up to 99 miles per hour near its center. That's having lost power from its peak of 145 miles per hour a day earlier, as it tore through China's island of Hainan. There, it reportedly killed 2 people. Yagi had already claimed the lives of at least 16 people in the Philippines, the first country it hit. On Saturday, Vietnam state media also reported deaths, including a motorcyclist killed after a tree fell on him. A dozen people were reported to be missing at sea. Amongst the hardest hit locations was the coastal city of Haiphong. Strong winds smashed windows as 10-foot-high waves hit the coast, according to a witness. Pictures and footage from local media showed trees being felled and roofing sheets flying away. In the capital Hanoi, residents could be seen sheltering under a bridge. Nguyen Ha Tang said he'd never seen a typhoon with such brutal wind, while Lee Thi Nguyen said she was terrified and unable to get home. Authorities in the capital have suspended public transport on buses and its 2 elevated metro lines. The meteorological agency has warned of risks of heavy flooding in the city centre. Vietnam's government said it had evacuated nearly 50,000 people from coastal towns and deployed 450,000 military personnel. Schools have also been closed in 12 northern provinces and flights grounded at 4 airports.
Retailer Alimentation Couche-Tard isn't giving up on its bid to take over Japan's Seven & I, owner of the 7-Eleven convenience store chain. The Canadian firm said Sunday it remained keen on pursuing a buyout and wanted confidential talks. 7 & I has so far rejected the $38.5 billion offer. It says the deal is not in the best interest of shareholders and would run foul of antitrust watchdogs. Couche-Tard, which owns the Circle K brand, says it could address those worries by divesting some assets. It said it was confident of arranging finance for the bid, which would be the largest ever foreign takeover of a Japanese company. It would also be the biggest all-cash offer for any firm since Elon Musk bought Twitter for just over $40 billion in 2022. By Monday lunchtime, 7 & I stock was up over 2%. That put it above the $14.86 per share offered by Couche-Tard. The Japanese company has said even a significantly bigger offer wouldn't convince it. 7 & I is much larger than Couche-Tard in terms of sales, stores and employees. Yet its shares have underperformed for years amid criticism of its structure and corporate culture. Couche-Tard, meanwhile, is valued much more highly, at around $52 billion. Now a takeover could massively expand its global reach and economies of scale. But one analyst told Reuters it would be hard to do the acquisition at a bargain price, with many investors aware of 7 & I's real potential value.